Vincenzo'S Global Crypto Investing this June the 11th, 2025, noontime daily cryptocurrency, the blockchain technology, gold and silver bullion video that you've come to expect, love, need, and deserve from the number one retail investor and trader, cryptocurrency and investing site and service and education and information. On social media or in the sphere, bell notification, comment down below to help us spread and increase uh, and invade more people with our movement, message, and word to help you become a investing millionaire over the course of a short decade or slightly longer by simple investing in real estate, stocks, gold and silver bullion and mining stocks and cryptocurrencies and 401k investing regularly and strategically, right? And if you look at the US dollar, something that's very important and something that goes with our truth, we're starting to bring you at most of the most videos at the beginning, just snippets of information and knowledge that maybe you did know and have known, or you have never heard of or didn't know. So it's something new to help you build that knowledge, to help you invest and to become much more savvy in your everyday personal business life and investing. US crypto correlation overview. Inverse relationship with US dollar and cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin often shows a negative correlation with the United States dollar, typically between 0.4 and 0.8%, meaning if the US dollar strengthens, the cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin specifically goes down by about 0.4 to 0.8%. Bitcoin tends to weaken and vice versa. If the US dollar is weakening, Bitcoin tends to strengthen. Studies confirm the inverse link. Empirical findings and models. A 2024 academic analyst indicated a 1% rise in the US dollar index correlates with a 4.1% drop in Bitcoin over the long run. Cointelegraph reported that steep drops in the US dollar around 2 to 3% have historically triggered Bitcoin all-time highs with success rates of 94 to 100%. Ongoing debates and caveats. Uh, Study finds Bitcoin coupling to the dollar is sporadic and weaker than mainstream assets, suggesting it holds some sort of value uh, characteristic. However, other researchers warn Bitcoin does not reliably hedge inflation, sometimes even reacting negatively to inflation, right? Because people always, at least recently, say it's an inflation hedge, right? Because it's negatively correlated to the US dollar. But there's a lot of studies and there's been a lot of times where that doesn't happen. So that's very important. Summary, Bitcoin and Ethereum are currently trading around 110,000 and 2.8 respectively. Crypto prices usually move opposite to the US dollar. When the dollar strengthens, crypto tends to stump and slumble and fall and consolidate. And when it weakens, crypto climbs, right? So that's just a little brief overview. I'm very busy. I just wanted to give a little snippet of that. Obviously, that's most people in crypto know that, but if you didn't, there's that bit of information. You can see the US dollar, if we go out into the daily time frame, has been in a dramatic bear market and downturn ever since about the midway point of the Joe Biden administration. We actually got to go back farther out, go into the weekly. You can see, I believe that's the midway point right there. The midway point of the Joe Biden administration is right there. You can see we rallied at the beginning when they were faking fighting inflation. And ever since 2022 in August, the US dollar has been on a big downturn, right? And it started about the midway point in Joe Biden's administration. You can see from the peak at the midway point of Joe Biden's administration until he left office, uh, the U.S. dollar was only down about 4% from its high. but it was down right before the election, about 12% from its high. And now, more recently, you can see the dollar has threatened to break out of a rising channel. And we know all about rising channels following crypto. And you can see in the US dollar, which is very important for gold, bullion, stocks, assets. You can see ever since the financial collapse of 2008, we've been in this rising channel, right? Upper resistance, lower support, upper resistance, lower support, lower support, upper resistance, upper resistance. You have uptrending upper resistance and uptrending lower support, which is a classic rising channel, just as wide at the exit as you are at the entry. And we're threatening to break down out of this. And you can see here is our first time since the 2020 COVID breakdown out of it, fake out. And then you had that tremendous rally. We're broken back down out of it again and actually broken a key level, which is that horizontal blue underneath left to right. And if you continue to break down and can't get back up like you did here, you're going to come straight down to this 92 handle again. The same thing you did with COVID. And that's a critical 1, 2 would be a triple bottom over the last 10 years. And and that's an area you can't break, because if you break that, you would come back all the way down to where this 2014 dramatic pump started in a massive rally in the US dollar that really helped out the country by honing down inflation that otherwise would have been taking place in consumer goods, right? And retail purchases. But so this is a very important spot. This is very important as far as if this does break down, you're going to see gold and silver bullion skyrocket even more than it already has. And that could be a catalyst for cryptocurrencies to break out to the upside. And if we go back into the cryptocurrencies, you can see the Bitcoin, the fucking Bitcoin, Vincenzo. We're in this rising channel, just like the US dollar. If we get back into the daily time frame, you can see we attempted to break out of it. We attempted to break out of this and the Bitcoin price, right? We've been in this rising channel for quite some time. We're attempting to break out of it. We had that little rounding bottom, and now we've had a nice pump off the 50-day moving average, something that we thought we would have. And then we would have to watch to see how high the pump went. If it breached the all-time high, you would most likely come up to our target of $118,000. Right now, it's starting to trade sideways after it the last couple of days where it had that nice, big, beautiful pump, kind of like Trump's nice, big, beautiful bill that he calls it, right? Although some people might not see it as a nice, big, beautiful bill. I know I never see usually when governments name a bill, it's the exact opposite, like the Inflation Reduction Act with Joe Biden, the last president. It really increased inflation. The big, beautiful bill is probably a big, ugly bill, right? But you can see now what you got to look at with the US dollar is, are you going to continue to break up and try to get up back near this high that we have here, or this upper target right there at 118,000? Or are you going to start to break back down and trade back down to the 50, and then maybe eventually trade down to the 100-day moving average? These are things we have to watch out for with the Bitcoin price in the short term, because that's going to have critical it's going to play critically to see if this is going to continue the uptrend, or if this is going to start trending more to the downside, right? So that's what we're watching out in the Bitcoin price. We obviously have our major underneath support levels are the 2 moving averages below the price, and then our critical support level is the 200-day moving average, where if you get below the 200-day moving average, you're extremely bearish, and you would likely trade down to the 90,000, if not much lower. As long as you're above the 200-day moving average, and more specifically that 97,000 horizontal from left to right, you're much, much more bullish and can continue this uptrend and potentially break to a new all-time high. Right, so that's very important. You can see another thing that's very important is Bitcoin dominance. We do know when Bitcoin dominance is rising, altcoins are falling, and when Bitcoin dominance is falling, altcoins are usually rising. Like when you had this fall right there, see that fall in yellow and red, yellow, red. Then Bitcoin altcoins were rising for about 2 weeks. Then most recently, we've had a bit of a rise. So Bitcoin dominance, and we've had a little bit of a rise in Bitcoin dominance. So some of these coins started to fall back off. Ethereum, we continue to break out, and it's imminent now that we're going to come up to this 3,000 and $68, $48 next target that we've had after you've broken out of the consolidation that you've had over the past about 2 weeks right here. After you had the 40% pump, you had the long consolidation. Now it looks like you're going to finish the move and actually come up to this upper target of $3,048. And then if you break that, the next leg to the upside would be all the way up here at $3,480. So that's very exciting in the Ethereum. If we look at the XLM, we're about to get above, and we are currently getting above uh, the moving averages here. And if we get above these moving averages, which we're about to do right now, your next move up now, if you breach the 50, and all the moving averages are conglomerated around each other, your next move is coming up to the 33 cents and then potentially as high as the 43 cents if you can continue to get above and hold above all three of the moving averages in the daily. Because something else that you notice that we've been talking about is our tracks right there in the background. The mean of them start to bring this up in July, right? Late June and July into August. And that's something that is very much on our radar, is that could bring us all the way up to the 43 cents in the short term here in XLM. Obviously, if you got below that 25 cents in blue right there, that would be where you get very, very bearish. The same thing with the XRP. You bounce successfully off the neckline support. You got to stay above, and if you're above it right now, and if you can hold above this, similar to these other, the Bitcoin and the XLM and the Ethereum, you can stay above the 50 and the 100 that are right on top of each other. Your next move in the XRP after the successful bounce off the 200-day and the neckline support at 209 down there in purple would be back up here at the $2.55 and potentially opening up the door in July for a July rally back to 302. And the XRP price, as long as you stay above that neckline support. Obviously, if you got below that neckline support, things get very, very bearish. This is very, very exciting. We're going to continue to stay out ahead of this for you. We're going to continue to stay on top of this for you. And we're going to continue to be the #1 retail investor with super simple and easy ways to trade this market and infiltrate and invest for long-term uh, capital gains and long-term investment success and profitability so that you can live the kind of life that you want to live. Peace and love. The Rock's eyebrow, Jay.